Hello, everybody. We are making sure everything is live. And okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. I am here with my good friend Rupa Raj, a Ayurveda practitioner, and she is going to teach us all about Ayurveda, the basics of how it all works, and how it can help all of us living with migraine. So I am so excited to introduce Rupa. Rupa Raj is an Ayurvedic practitioner and holistic wellness coach, passionate about serving the mental health and women's health communities. She is a former developing healthcare consultant and international medical device industry professional for the last 13 years. So, Rupa, thanks for joining us in the Yoga for Migraine Facebook group.
Of course, it is such an honor to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Yes, so just to be clear for everyone joining us, we've got some great practical advice about migraine. We've got some questions that came in, but anytime along the way, feel free to drop some questions in the comments for us to address. But we want to also make it really clear that everything shared in this video today is for your educational use only, not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Definitely always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition before undertaking any diet, fitness, or other health program. So let's launch in, Rupa. Give us the 101 of Ayurveda. What is Ayurveda? How is it different than our modern Western health system or approach? And let's see what we can learn for people who have no idea what we're talking
Yes,
about today.
yes, absolutely. So Ayurveda is an ancient Indian science. It is around 5,000 years old. And at its core, Ayurveda is truly a philosophy. It's a way of life and it's a way to restore balance for the pursuit of longevity and aging well. So that's at its core. And as you get more and more into Ayurveda, you start to see that it's looking at different factors of the human and the way that you live in a way that maybe allopathic medicine might not. So I can launch right into kind of
Yeah, let's
into
let's see your presentation just so we got some
yeah.
visuals to go along with this and also to share, this is although in the West, Ayurveda might seem, like very new to us. In India, I mean, isn't this kind of like one of the fundamental approaches to how illness is treated? This is not like a far-fetched fringe approach, correct?
Absolutely. And one of the things that is interesting, so I have an Indian background as well, but born in America. And I grew up with allopathic medicine just naturally, as like most Americans do. And it wasn't later, once I started studying Ayurveda, that I was like, wait a second, a lot of the stuff that we just do naturally when I'm not feeling well, or my stomach hurts, or I'm lethargic, or whatever it might be, is what my mom just
Mm,
naturally came to. Whether she knew she was practicing Ayurveda or not, it's so interwoven into our just fabric in Indian society.
that's
So
awesome.
let me put this in. There we go. So a little bit about the history of Ayurveda. As I mentioned, it's very old. It's 5,000 years old, and it's really a philosophy. It takes into account all of the elements of the world and the elements of the universe, which I'll get more into. But how it spread over time is through the Vedas and through ancient sages. So they actually would sing these ancient texts to each other, and that's how they remember through generations. It started in northern India and it spread. And given that you are focused on yoga here, it's so interrelated. Yoga and Ayurveda, they really are sister sciences. They're they're part of the same coin. So both of these practices, they also originated from the Vedas. And as I said before, the Vedas is it's that mantra science. It's the songs that you hear, the chants that you hear, um, going through from generation to generation, and that knowledge that has been originally done through observation. So they saw what worked in their body, what felt good, what worked for you, what worked for him, and they were able to start to categorize and figure out through observation, this is what restores balance.
Mm.
So one thing that I want to just to ground Ayurveda, like this is the history of it and that's what it meant, but what does it mean for you today and those of you guys that are watching? So the entire universe in the Ayurvedic belief system, the entire universe is made up out of 5 elements. It doesn't matter whether you're an ant, a tree, a mountain, the laptop that you're watching this on, you are made of these same 5 elements. So those 5 elements are ether. Ether is the space in which all of this exists, the entire universe. Air is associated with wind and creation. Fire is, we all know fire, but in an Ayurvedic perspective, it's about metabolism, it's digesting, and it's not just your food, but it's your thoughts, your what you see, what you hear, what you feel, all of the perceptions. And then water is this cooling element that takes the path of least resistance. But as we all know, a water can go through mountains, right? And so it's still very powerful. And then finally, earth, which is heavy, warm, comforting, grounded element. So all of these elements make up the whole fabric of our existence. And in Ayurveda, we have something that's called a dosha. So you may have heard, some of you guys may have heard this already. And we always talk about, oh, are you kapha, pitta, or vata? Like, what's your dosha? And what that really means is which of these elements are most predominant within your constitution. So when you are born, like that moment before you're even born, that moment of conception, the moment you are conceived, there is an imprint. And that imprint is your prakriti, which is, are you mainly kapha or are you mainly pitta? Are you mainly vata? What is it? And as you go through life, many factors, where you live, whether you're living in an arid desert or near the beach, your time of your life. So you might be a child, you might be in your middle age, or you might be in your elder years. The diet that you have, the lifestyle, are you sedentary or do you have a lot of movement? All of these different factors influence that original prakruti that you have, that original constitution that you have when you're first conceived. And as time goes on, you get a dosha. And a dosha is really just, it's like a balance sheet. It's like, where are you today? Where where
Mm.
where are you within these elements that are constantly fluctuating within your life? And when you hear about in Ayurveda there being a disorder or a disease, what that really means from an Ayurvedic standpoint is, where are you imbalanced?
Mm.
And within Eastern medicine, there's different approaches, and some Eastern medicines like to look at, okay, take the imbalance and meet it with another imbalance, and that helps to to restore.
Mhm.
Ayurveda is about, where is the imbalance and how do I reduce that imbalance to
Mm.
restore balance? So you might be wondering or curious, like, what is my dosha? Um, so if you're game for it, Adrian, I'd love to do a
Yeah.
really quick, a really quick dosha quiz, with the caveat that this is really just a small 1% view of what it might mean for your dosha. And if you're curious, you can email me afterwards. I'll share all my information to get a more extensive dosha quiz. But let's go ahead and play.
Go. I
So
got my paper and pen here.
awesome. So go ahead and get your paper, set it up with 9 rows. So just
Mhm.
number 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9, and then 3 columns, A, B, C.
Okay.
And now I'm going to read each question to you really quickly, so that we have time to go over the migraine stuff. But I'm going to read to you really quickly and just put a little check mark wherever you are, if you're column A, B, or C. So, number 1, what is your natural tendency for weight gain? Is it A, you're always light, hardly ever put on weight? B, your average weight and easy, you have an average weight, but it's easy to lose or gain weight? Or C, you have a heavy weight and weight gain happens really easily for you? 2, how is your frame? Are you A, tall and lean? B, do you have an average build? C, are you broad and stocky? 3, how are your eyes? Are they dark, dry, and active? B, are they bright and sensitive? C, are they round, soft, and calm? 4, what are your taste preferences? Are you A, into sweet, sour, and savory, B, into sweet and bitter, or C, into pungent and bitter? And pungent, I mean, a lot of people ask me this, a lot of my clients. Pungent is like it's spicy.
Mm.
And then how is your appetite? Are you A, you eat less than others, B, you have average and you're easily satisfied, C, you have a strong appetite? Number 6, how much do you sweat? A, hardly ever, B, easily and a lot, C, it depends. But it's usually an average amount. 7, okay, big part of Ayurveda is your bowel movements. We get a
Mm.
lot of information from your bowel movements, and you'll never be asked more about your bowel movements than when you're in an Ayurvedic assessment. Um, so, A, are your bowel movements irregular, constipated, hard? B, are they semi solid, loose, and frequent? Or C, are they bulky, well formed, and regular? 8, you guys are almost there. What do your family and friends most love about you? A, that you're spontaneous and you light up the room. B, that you're courageous and you have a motivation to lead. Or C, your compassion is nurturing, caring, and always loving. And then finally, number 9, what did your friends or colleagues encourage you to do more of? So this is more of when you were like a child growing up. A, to settle down and focus, B, to calm down and be more kind, or C, to become more proactive and enthusiastic. So now I want you to go ahead and tally up all of your column A, B, and C. So Adrian, since I am talking to you, what was yours?
Yeah, I put on the spot. I definitely have more of the B column.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
the biggest one. I
So
got, let's
that
see, one, two, three, yeah, six B's.
perfect. Awesome. So if you are mostly in the A column, then you are Vata
Mm.
predominant. Okay, and this is really rudimentary, guys. So please go and take a more extensive quiz after this. But just for the fun of this presentation or this discussion, this live, um, B. So Adrian, that's you. You're Pitta predominant, and then if you are mostly on the C side, you're Kapha. And we are all three. All of us are born with all of these doshas. We all need them to survive and to function. So you might even be out there and you might say, I have, 4 of 2. That's great. So that means you might be Vata Pitta, and you are equally um, expressing that dosha or those different types of elements. So now, just so that you know, like what that means if you're more Vata. So the characteristics of a Vata, you tend to have a variable appetite. You're sensitive to the cold. You tend to dry easily. You have light sleep, and you love to be active and have big creative ideas. So I'm sharing this with you. Even if you're not Vata, keep this in mind because actually migraines is a Vata disorder predominantly. It's Vata Pitta disorder. So it's not uncommon. I think Martha had asked earlier on your Facebook wall about her dry skin. And so given that migraines are a Vata disorder at its core, then it makes sense because dry skin is also a symptom of having a Vata disorder because of that air element. So
Mm.
I'll go more into that as we turn over to the migraine portion, but
Yeah. And I want to also jump into, just for folks joining in or, kind of unclear, well, why are we doing this? Why don't we just kind of talk about migraine? Because correct me if I'm wrong, Rupa, but with the Ayurvedic approach, the way that you treat, the way that you are proactive in your health is different for each person and their collection of doshas. So there is not necessarily, a one size fits all approach to treating migraine. It really depends on where you lie in your natural tendencies. Is that right, Rupa?
absolutely. And thank you so much for making that distinction. Yes, it's so true because yeah, it's Ayurveda truly is an individualized approach for each person. And the
Mhm.
reason why I'm exactly going into this is so that you guys can start to understand how to treat your migraine and your symptoms in a way that works for you and your body and your lifestyle. Yeah. Awesome. And then to go into the Pitta dosha, so this might be you, depending on
Notes here.
the
Yeah.
accuracy of the quiz, right? The simple quiz, but yeah, so you can take in sensory impulse and digest things much faster, and that's been my experience with you, Adrian. You're very sharp. You move fast. You have endurance. Very focused and immersed. You like to look at the how of the project, very detail oriented. And you're willing to do favors and go to battle for the people you love, and just supernaturally intelligent. Um, now
No, it
each
definitely feels like, yeah, it feels accurate. Yeah.
feels like you, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like with everything, there's always a shadow side. I didn't go into the Vata shadow side as much, but we all have, with everything that is great in this world, sometimes being so focused and so like on it, you can sometimes come off as insensitive to your loved ones, right? So there's always that shadow side, which that shadow side is actually the strength of kapha. So if you are more
Mm.
kapha, and this once again is like the earth and water elements, you are more solid emotionally. People know that they can count on you. You're very emotionally stable, warm, compassionate person. So yeah, so I just wanted to start and ground us all here at this level. I know that I saw you also took a really great poll, and it was awesome to see that there are already people that have tried Ayurveda, or they at least know about it. So hopefully this gets us all in a even playing field, as far as our understanding.
Yeah, no, that was really helpful. And yeah, I'm curious, we'll definitely launch into more, but how do you see the role of yoga fitting in with whether, it's helping in people's health or, treating a disease? Is there kind of prescriptions for yoga within the Ayurveda context? How does that fit in?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So with all of my Ayurvedic assessments, I provide not just like the nutrition. Everyone could imagine like nutrition's a big part of it, not just herbs, but also looking at yoga. We
Mm.
definitely look at what are the different postures given the person's physical capacity and their age, and what they're currently trying to bring into balance. And so when I was doing my research for the migraine, perspective of what Ayurveda's perspective is on migraine, I saw, oh, these are a lot of the yoga postures, but I was like, Adrian's got that covered, so so
Wow.
no need to be redundant there. But it's a huge part of it, a huge part
Mhm.
of it.
All
Mhm.
right. Well, if you're just joining us, we are here with Rupa Raj, and she is just gave us a big lowdown on kind of the fundamentals of Ayurveda and how to start to guess what your dosha is, knowing that, having someone do a more thorough assessment is definitely helpful. And next, we're going to jump into, the Ayurveda's take on how to treat and prevent migraine, given that each type of person with a different dosha might have a slightly different approach. So yeah, we'd love to hear what that looks like. If someone were to come with you, say I come with you to you, I have migraine, I've been living with it for 15 years, what would you do with me?
Yes. So I would start by asking you, what's your family history of migraine? When was the onset of it? I would also go into, given that you're a female, learning a little bit more about your menstrual
Yeah.
history. And then I would really want to know about your life. Like, I would want to know, when
Mm.
do you wake up? What do you do when you first wake up? What's your morning routine? What do you eat? How much of it, what's the temperature of it, what do you drink, when are you drinking? I mean, I will really get into any nitty and gritty, because every one of those little habits plays a role. And then again, I would ask you about your bowel movements, your urination. I'll ask you about your stress and other factors, such as social factors, like, are there are there any strains from maybe dynamics with colleagues or friends or family, that may be causing anxiety or stress in your life, that may also be playing a role in your migraine attacks as well.
I love how thorough that is. We're not just looking at just the physical symptoms of and giving, that whole like psycho, biosocial realm of looking at all aspects of your life. And if you're interested in working with Rupa, I did drop in the comments. She's got an amazing package that I am going to sign up for after this talk, where she'll give you an analysis of your doshas, recommendations. She's got a little $25 gift for folks who join and mention that you heard about her here. But yeah, just want to plug that in because she's so knowledgeable, and this is really a very scientific approach as well. Like, and I'd love to hear more on how you see this, working with what maybe people are already doing in the Western medical realm, and to see how it all works together.
Yeah, it's a again, just like Ayurveda, it's a very individual question for each practitioner. So I tend to have a mindset or philosophy of integrative medicine. So
Mhm.
I still believe very much in the allopathic approach, but adding in Ayurveda as a way to think about things more long term. So yes, if you're having a migraine attack in this very moment, there are things that Ayurveda can do for you. And I'd love to quickly go through that. I know we're
Yeah.
getting close on time. And at the same time, what are some of the preventative actions you can take that maybe you're not going to see have an impact right away? So that is one thing with Ayurveda. It is more of a long-term
Yeah.
approach.
And as
Um,
same with yoga, right? It's like
yeah.
that, all the benefits start to accrue with time. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I like usually I give my clients maybe a 3 to 6 month window of like
Mhm.
stay committed, let's stay
Yeah.
motivated, and you'll start to see some changes 3 to 6 months in. And yeah, and it's working. My personal take on it is to do it in a integrative way.
Yeah. So tell us, what can we do? What would
Yes.
we do if
Yes.
we have migraine in the Ayurvedic way?
Yes. So, just like you were mentioning, it's going to depend on what type of migraine you're having. And so, from an Ayurvedic perspective, the reason why I wanted to go through those three different doshas, Vata type of migraine is going to look different from a Pitta type of migraine or a Kapha type
Mm.
of migraine. So, please do not self-diagnose here, but I just want to give you a few of the cardinal symptoms that you'll see with a Vata type of migraine. So that
Right.
is where you feel most of the pain on the left side of
Hmm.
your head. You feel lightheaded, constipated, gassy, really tight in the neck and the shoulders. So if you have that type of migraine, then you probably have a Vataja, which is Vata type of migraine. Then there's a Pitta migraine.
And can I
So
interrupt real fast?
yeah,
Do these types of migraine correspond with like your dosha? Like if I'm a more pitta, am I going to have a pitta type migraine or not necessarily?
not necessarily.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Because I'm
And
like, wait, mine are always on the left. Okay.
not necessarily. And you might notice that you might have a little bit of symptoms from a little bit of both
Okay.
or like all three. And
Got it.
that happens across all the disease states.
Okay.
Then a pitta type of migraine. So that is usually associated with the sun, given the
Mm.
fire nature of it.
Mhm.
Your headache is going to be, or your migraine attack, sorry, is going to be highest at noon,
Mm.
and it's going to start to subside at sunset. So it's kind of moving with the natural cycle of nature.
Mhm.
You're going to feel it more on your right side. You're
Mm.
going to feel nausea, vomiting, heartburn, and light sensitivity. So those are usually what you feel when you have a pitta type of migraine attack. And then kapha, that's the earth one, the earth and water. So, from an Ayurvedic perspective, they actually don't consider these types of symptoms as a migraine. So, the
Mhm.
first two are considered migraine. This last one, I'm including it, but it's usually considered like a congestive headache.
Mm.
But you might still, like, people in this audience still might experience it because it's all interrelated, right?
Yeah.
So, a congestive headache, you're going to feel it more when you bend over,
Mhm.
and what brings relief is when you sit upright.
Mhm.
So I'll still provide remedies, easy at home remedies you can do for all three. But just know for migraine, from an Ayurvedic perspective, it's usually because something in your air and your fire are off balance here.
Okay.
Okay. So for a Vata
Okay.
type of migraine, you're going to want to take what I'm going to show you guys is lepas, but lepa is like you can create a paste and put it on your forehead. And so these are recommended when you are in the peak of your migraine attack.
Mm.
So you can take for Vata, you could take ginger and a little bit of like a teaspoon of ginger powder. For the Pitta type of migraine, you can take red sandalwood
Mm.
and a little teaspoon here of the red sandalwood powder. And then for Kapha, you can take Vacha powder. And again, this is what it looks like.
And I want to also jump in. It's interesting, like that you're sharing the ginger, particularly. There has been some research on ginger, and many people do take ginger at the first sign of a migraine attack and have had, experienced benefits. So great to see, hey, like the Western kind of approach has confirmed some of this through research. So wanted to add that in.
Yeah, I love that. And that was actually going to be one of the things that Ayurveda recommends that I was going to share at the very end. Like
Mm,
one easy way is to just start having hot ginger water.
okay,
And that's really great for
writing it down.
migraine. Yeah. um, so you turn it into a paste just like this. So let me show you guys. So you would turn it into a paste. All I did was add a little bit of hot water and then place it on your forehead. Um, and you could do that for, each of these different, whether it's the Vacha, the red sandalwood, or the ginger. And then on a astral level, so this is more on that like energetic level, there are different beads that you could wear or like stones you can wear. So for Vata, there's something called Rudraksha beads. So
Mm.
what you would do with this, and this would also work really well if you have a migraine that's associated with your menstrual cycle. Um, you take this and you put it in water and soak it overnight, and then the next morning drink the water. So again, this is more
Whoa.
on an energetic level. Um, I always say to my clients, like, take with anything in life, it's like a dessert, right? So it's like if somebody gives you vanilla pudding but then they put raisins or walnuts on it and you're like, ugh, I don't like the raisins or the walnuts, it's just like pick them out and then keep the part that you like. So
Love it.
this might not be for everybody. If you have a kapha type of headache, then ruby, so you could wear
Mm.
this stone around your neck. And then pitta is the pearl. And
Mm.
so the reason why, I mean, just again, bringing it back to the main fundamentals of Ayurveda is to bring balance. So if
Mhm.
you're really hot and fiery and you're feeling that migraine attack on the right side and light sensitivity, pearl energetically is a cooling stone.
Mhm.
So we're bringing coolness back into the body. The red sandalwood, this is a cooling element, so it's bringing
Mhm.
coolness back to the body. So it's that counter of what's out of balance. How do we counter it to bring it back into balance? Um,
And I know before we went live, we were talking about, if you're experiencing one type of migraine, but, you do the wrong, you do ginger instead of sandalwood. I mean, nothing terrible is going to happen to us, right?
yeah. I intentionally wanted to share something that even if you try to self-diagnose, because I can't control everyone, even if you do, it's nothing is going to happen. There are other herbs that, I would recommend once I do a full assessment. But just, just so you guys have an idea, if you want to do more research, but again, please do not self
Mhm.
prescribe. Other herbs like Brahmi, Tulsi, Triphala, those have also been known to be very, very helpful with um, the long term prevention of migraine attacks.
Mm.
So, yeah, and then there's also treatments that you guys could, if you wanted to research Ayurveda practitioners near you and see if they offer something called Shirodhara. So
Mm.
Shirodhara is this oil dripping um, procedure. So they will actually take Brahmi, which is one of the herbs that I said you could take as a ingest, but you could also take it as an oil, and they'll drip it on your head, and it really helps for a lot of the um, a lot of the the comorbidities that
Mhm.
migraine has. So anxiety, insomnia, stress. It helps with relieving that, which might be a
Mhm.
stress or an aggravator for a migraine attack.
Absolutely.
Another thing you can do that I wanted to share with you guys is something called anuthylam. Sorry, not anuthylam, just nasya. Thylam means oil. And so you can, what you do with this is you would drop one or two droplets like in the morning, and the type of oil that you would use would be dependent on the type of migraine you have, as well as the type of
Mhm.
dosha that you are, and whether you're even suitable for nasya has to be determined by your clinician. But usually what it is it's an oil that's a decoction of different herbs, that you can, it really helps with detoxifying your
Mhm.
your nasal cavity and that
Mhm.
area. And then you can also do something called oil pulling, which would just be taking coconut oil or any type of oil. There are different oils you can use, but coconut oil is a good one to use for the summer at least. And you'll just take a teaspoon of it and just swish it in your mouth for about 5 minutes, or as long as you can hold it, because I know it's a lot in the beginning. And that's going to help with releasing a lot of, and then spit it out when you're done. And that's going to help with releasing toxins. And toxins
Mhm.
could be an aggravating factor. Um, and I think it was Jen who had asked about that, like
Mhm.
inflammation and toxins. So
Mhm.
for Jen, this is for you if you're watching. It's a good way to release some of that.
Yeah, and we don't related, we did have a question too on how the gut is maybe related to the mind, to migraine. Yeah, and
Yeah.
how, I mean, I think generally most people associate Ayurveda with kind of a certain nutritional approach. Yeah, how does that work?
Yeah, so in Ayurveda, I mean, this question is hitting the head on the nail for what Ayurveda is. It's
Mm.
my professor always says like it's not what you eat, it's what you digest. And
Mm.
so your ability to digest food, it comes from that fire element. So it's that pitta in your stomach. It's actually called agni, and that ability to,
That's a yoga practice. Agni
yeah.
Sara. You like
Oh,
pump your diaphragm, and it's like to build up heat.
oh, awesome. I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, so your agni in your stomach, it's there to serve as a way to digest food for you. And what you're able to digest is then, how you become this well-balanced person. But if there's something imbalanced in your agni, and there's many different types of agni characteristics, or categories that an Ayurvedic practitioner would help to identify based off of your bowel movement. They'll look at your tongue as well. So
Mm.
they'll see like what type of ama. Ama is just like a toxin coating, or if you have teeth swelling, or the color of it. All these different factors that we look at, as well as taking a pulse check. So all of
Mm.
these will give us clues into how your agni is doing.
Mm.
And depending on how your agni is doing, we always want to start with that, like making sure that your ability to digest is strong. Because
Mm.
another great thing my Ayurveda professor had told us is like you can take all the ginger you want, but it's like throwing seeds on pavement.
Mm. Mhm.
You want to get rid of that pavement so that you can uncover the fertile soil. And then when you throw seeds on that soil, it can turn into a beautiful, flower, plant, tree. So Agni, the gut mind connection, is super strong. And when those toxins aren't being when food isn't properly being digested or assimilated into the body, it then turns into toxins. And if those toxins can't be released in a downward action, they have nowhere else to go but upward. And this is where you start to see things like insomnia, stress, migraine,
Mm.
um, skin conditions, worry, all of these symptoms, like they manifest because the toxins don't aren't being properly digested. The food's not being properly digested, and as a result turn to toxins.
Yeah, I think
So
that's like a key point. Yeah, that the thread that's bringing all of this together and the approach and why food and like the approach to food is so important and individual. I think for so many people with migraine, we've probably all tried like different migraine diets that are pretty much like standard, no matter what you are. Like these are the things to avoid, and I think with the Ayurvedic approach, it's more individual and probably I think I know we've got just we're kind of running over, but I do want to talk about if people were to work with someone to help them, treat with Ayurveda and are kind of worried about like the food aspect of it. Maybe they're worried like, are they going to have a really restrictive diet? Are they only going to like be able to, eat Indian foods that like they're not used to eating? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, again, I will say this probably depends on the practitioner. So, um, I would recommend people to do a little bit of research on the practitioner before they sign up.
Mhm.
Ensure that they've had other clients that are coming from their same culture, whether it's the American culture or maybe you have a South American culture or African culture, and they're just foods that you don't want to give up. It's so ingrained. Um, so finding a practitioner that is able to honor and respect and understand that and empathize with
Mhm.
it is where I would say to really look for, because it is possible. I personally like to practice with that diversity inclusion mindset.
Mhm.
So, and I know that I have colleagues in the field that are exactly like me. I mean, we're very respectful, and Ayurveda should meet you where you are. Like
Mhm.
it's meant
Mhm.
to meet you where you are. And so if you find a practitioner that isn't meeting you where you are, no judgment to them. They have their clients that are meant for them. It's just they're not the practitioner for you.
Mhm. And how do people find someone to work with or find, we've got your info in here, but I know you've been to school, like you've studied heavily to get, your certification. Are there places that you recommend that people investigate or directories like that?
Yeah, so there are a lot of great schools across the nation here. So if you're looking for a practitioner that can meet you where you are and not necessarily like a Indian
Mhm.
um, studied in India practitioner, I would start with an organization called NAMA. So it's the
Mhm.
National Ayurvedic Medical Association.
Okay.
And on that website, you'll
I'm
find
gonna post that link in a sec. Yeah, keep talking.
perfect. Yeah, thank you. You'll find schools that have been NAMA approved, but there are schools outside of NAMA that are also fantastic. There's the College School of Ayurveda in Northern California. Um, and then there's also an organization called CAM, which is the California Ayurvedic Association. I forget what the M stands for, but that's another really great resource. And yeah, and if I'm not the right practitioner for you, I have so many people in my network, and I'm always referring out because I want to make sure people are getting the type of care that they need, and they're investing so much into themselves. So you could always ask me, maybe you don't resonate with me, but you're interested in Ayurveda. So I will put you with the practitioner that beats you where you are.
Love that. Yeah, I just love how personalized, the approach is, how it's so proactive that you're helping people proactively develop good health rather than treat people just on the symptom once they're already out of, whack health wise. That this is a much more holistic approach, just like yoga. If folks who are watching have some questions that they want to add in before we let Rupa go, throw them in the comments. And if you're watching a replay, Rupa's in the group too, so I'm sure she'll be able to answer any questions that you all leave later. But yeah, I think maybe, I'm not sure if you already mentioned the 3 easy ways that we can start living
Yes.
Ayurvedically as people are wrapping up.
Absolutely. So one is the hot water. If you
Mm.
bonus points if you add the ginger in there, but eliminating cold water from your overall diet. That's going to help with the agni I was talking about. So
Mm.
before you eat, you want to stimulate your agni the best you can, and ginger is a really great way to do that, and hot water is a really great way to help promote digestion.
And
The
could that
second,
be like any, I mean, it sounds like herbal teas, can be even more specific, but I mean, just an herbal tea would be a good
yeah,
option. Yeah.
yeah, herbal tea would be a great option. just if you are able to make that one micro step from having room temperature or cold water to having hot water, great. And if it
Mm.
means you're adding your herbal tea to it, awesome. And then the bonus points if you can switch over to ginger. And then Ayurveda, especially for um, migraine, given that it's a vata pitta disorder, adding oils to everything. So I actually, um, in Ayurveda, I would be remiss to not mention
Everyone
ghee.
taking notes? I'm taking notes here. Okay.
I would be remiss to not mention ghee. So this is a Costco ghee. It's a great deal. But yeah, you could get ghee from a lot of different sources and add this to your food. Extra virgin olive oil is another healthy oil. Coconut oil. Um, so again, we want to add oils as a way to balance out that vata, the air, the dryness. And so the oil helps to create the lubrication.
Mhm.
So that's the second thing I'd recommend. And then the third thing um, is to take 2 minutes of your day in the morning, preferably, to just probably practice, what you teach, a lot of the mindfulness and just being still with yourself and
Mhm.
giving yourself a moment to ground down, find out how are you feeling today,
Yeah.
what's going on in your body, and just noticing it. Yeah.
Love that. So I learned so much. I've been so excited to talk with you and learn more myself. And if you guys have questions for Rupa, put them in the comments. But know that I dropped her info in the comments. She's got an amazing, affordable package to get some like Ayurveda support. And I'm gonna sign up too because I'm excited to continue to do what I can to improve my health. It's, I think these long-term strategies, they are not always quick fixes, but it is really the most effective in the long run. To prevent migraine is more effective than treating it once you're already having an attack.
Yes, beautiful. And we always say in Ayurveda, our medicine may not have side effects, it has side benefits. So,
Yes.
awesome. Well,
Woohoo!
thank you so much, Adrian.
Yeah.
And yes, please reach out. I'm here for all of you and um, here to just support. I know migraine is it's a very hard condition to live with, and so I'm here to support you guys however I may
Thank
be able to.
you. Thank you so much, Rupa, and thank you all for watching. And feel free to come back to this video. It'll be up in the Yoga for Migraine Facebook group after we sign off. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye bye.